Part 1. I woke up on Mother's Day, brewed coffee, laid out the white china, and watched my phone stay dark. No calls, no texts. I cleared the table, shut off the stove, opened my laptop, and typed, "Bungalow, oceanfront, under 200K. A week later, I was on a Barrier Island porch, while Nora Patel turned a key and the Atlantic filled the window wall. I paid the earnest money that hour, closed in 7 days, and did 3 things before my boxes even arrived. Mounted cloud-backed cameras, placed the deed into a living trust with an independent trustee, and switched my health proxy to my niece. The money left my account. No one's future inheritance. Back in my old house, I canceled the kids' extra cards, killed the auto pays they'd attached to my name, printed a year of call logs, 4 short calls, 0 visits, and shoved the proof into a cloud folder. Harper Quinn, my attorney, scanned everything and said, "If they show up, don't be alone. Hit record. Call me." They showed up Saturday at 11:02. Big black SUV. Dana came in first without asking, eyes sweeping the glass and the view. "Beautiful, Mom. How much did you pay?" Behind her walked Victor Hale. Gray suit, neat briefcase. "I represent your children," he said, offering a hand I didn't take. I thumbed the record button on my phone. The red dot blinked. "Attorney found an attorney," Harper said, stepping out of the kitchen. Victor opened his file. "Protective structure for your assets. A family-managed trust. You keep living here while your children safeguard." Harper flipped the top page, skimmed, and snorted. "Full conveyance. Sale without her consent under a medical necessity clause. That clause is a blank check. Nice try." Trevor raised his voice. "We're worried about your judgment, Mom." I opened my laptop, pulled up the bank portal, and turned the screen. Offer, inspection, insurance binder, closing statement, my funds, my signature. What you're worried about is control. Dana's smile thinned. "Then we'll petition for guardianship." "File it," Harper said. "We'll wait." I called Deputy Collins. "Family dispute, possible pressure. I'd like an officer present." 15 minutes later, he stood in my living room with his body cam light blinking, quiet and watchful. Victor shifted to negotiation. "If you'll sign today, my clients agree to call weekly and visit monthly." "You're bargaining attention," Harper cut in. "On tape." I walked them to the door. "Leave my home. Any further contact is through counsel." They left. We saved the footage in 3 places. The petition landed the next week. Incapacity, request for guardianship, proposed guardians, Dana and Trevor. Harper met me at 8 the next morning with a list. "Medical competency," she said. "Financial records in order. Witnesses. Social proof. Keep your answers short. Dress neutral. No speeches." I booked Dr. Chen, a geriatrician with 30 years behind the diplomas. He ran me through memory strings, clock drawings, word lists, subtraction ladders. "Better than most 60-year-olds, he said, handing me a formal report. Dr. Rivers, the psychologist, took the rest. Mood inventories, decision-making screens, risk comprehension. "No impulsivity indicators," her summary read. "Deliberate, informed, independent." Nora prepared a purchase affidavit. Dates, disclosures, insurances, my questions about flood maps and roof age. The exact number of minutes I pushed on price and the addenda I demanded before signing. We downloaded 3 years of statements to show a pattern of saving. I pulled the screenshots. Dana's champagne brunch on Mother's Day, Trevor's backyard party on my birthday, time-stamped, public, smiling without me. Deputy Collins filed his incident note. No disturbance, no raised voices from my side, no sign of third-party manipulators. Attorney present. Recording active with consent of the homeowner. Harper assembled the binder, tabbed like a surgeon's tray. On the day, she said, you speak in nouns and verbs. No defense of your feelings. Facts, sequence, decisions. We reached the courthouse early. I wore a plain gray suit and low shoes. In the hallway, Dana pretended to be shocked that I had a lawyer. Trevor looked past me like the wall was talking. Inside, the judge called the case. Victor opened with concern, isolation, sudden spending beyond capacity, and a theory that cameras and lawyers proved paranoia. Harper didn't twitch. When he finished, she stood, clicked a remote, and the screen lit with my porch video. The briefcase, the papers, the trade of weekly calls for a signature. Then came the screenshots. Perfect Sunday with the people who matter. Posted the day I'd set a table for ghosts. Call logs, 4 in 12 months. Trevor's text, loan me $500 till Friday. No repayment. Quiet, methodical, relentless. Dr. Chen testified. Dr. Rivers followed. Nora detailed the purchase and my due diligence. Deputy Collins described what he saw and what he didn't. No confusion, no handlers, just a homeowner refusing pressure. Harper closed with a line I could have framed. What they call decline is a mother's refusal to fund her children's negligence. Victor tried a redirect about me, forgetting things, fishing for a wobble. I forget where I set my keys, I said. I don't forget ownership. The judge didn't take long. Petition denied. Fees to petitioners. Any continued pressure will meet legal consequences. Gavel. Wood. Done. Outside, the sun felt new. Harper checked the time. We're not finished, she said. You are. The paperwork isn't. Back at the island, I finished it. I filed for a no trespass order, changed the codes, set the cameras to auto-upload to 2 clouds and a drive in a safe deposit box, amended the trust. On my death, the house goes to a foundation for women facing elder abuse. My granddaughter Maya gets a locked education fund at 25. Dana and Trevor get nothing but boundaries. The days found shape. Walk to the jetty at 7. Fishmonger at noon. Book on the porch at dusk. Once a month, a letter from Maya. Robotics club, saving for her own sneakers. I write back, keep your receipts. Paying your own way is a habit, not a headline. When people ask how it came to this, I don't deliver sermons. I say, I stopped financing other people's laziness and wrote it down in legal ink. There's no tragedy, only procedure, evidence, witnesses, documents, cameras, lines. The ocean keeps its rhythm. The door shuts softly. The key on the hook is mine. Part 2. I was slicing limes for iced tea when the ocean-facing camera pinged. A couple in sun hats taking selfies on my porch. They waved at the lens like I was the concierge. Check-in is at 3, the man said to the camera, cheerful. But the code worked early. Thanks, Dana. I stepped outside. You're at the wrong house. He showed me a reservation on his phone. My address, my photos, my living room. Price paid in full. Host, Dana Hale. I called. Deputy Collins. Before the shock cooled, while he drove over, I opened the listing app the couple mentioned. There it was. Oceanfront bungalow. Hosted by Dana. My pictures scraped from the realtor site. My rules, rewritten. My calendar, open all summer. Collins pulled up fast. He talked to the guests, calm and apologetic. then looked at me. You want to press charges on whoever posted this? Not yet, I said. First we document, then we cut the head off. Harper arrived with a legal pad and a stare that could shear rope. We screen recorded the listing, pulled Hoy's records on the burner email Dana used, preserved the payment trail. I messaged the platform as the homeowner. Harper messaged as counsel. The listing vanished within the hour, but the bookings were already there. 4 weekends, 3 families, 2 wedding parties, all prepaid to an account ending in 4136. Trevor's number. Sting, Harper said. We schedule 1 viewing and make sure the sheriff is in the room. We set a decoy inquiry under a new profile, booked a weekend, and asked for an in-person key handoff to make sure Grandma will be comfortable. Dana responded in minutes. Absolutely. Meet at the house, Friday 5 p.m. She sent a new door code. Harper smiled without humor. That code will never open anything. Friday at 4:45 we were set. Collins in an unmarked truck, Nora from the agency sitting at my table as a witness, cameras rolling, audio synced. At 5:03 the black SUV returned. Dana stepped out in beach casual. Trevor hauled a tote full of towels to look legit. Behind them, a thin young man with a lanyard. Guest services, he said. Dana breezed up the steps. Hi, Mom. We figured you'd be nice about this if you saw how sweet the guests are. This is a family operation. Freeze, Collins said, badge up. Hands where I can see them. Are you serious? Dana laughed, but her hands went up anyway. We're helping her monetize the place. Harper read from the paper in her hand. Unauthorized rental scheme, identity misrepresentation, unlawful entry attempt using a fraudulent access code, and wire fraud. Every message is preserved. Every payment is traced. Trevor tried a shrug. Refunds are easy. We were testing demand. Then you'll love this test, Collins said, cuffing him gently. You're detained while we confirm the financial piece. Dana's face cracked. You can't arrest me for listing my mother's house. This is family. It's business, Harper said, and it's recorded. At the station, the paper trail did all the talking. Deposits into Trevor's account, splits to Dana's card, a template contract copied from a property management blog, even a spreadsheet named Q3 Beach Cash. They left 2 hours later without cuffs, but with citations and a promise to appear. Harper filed for a temporary injunction that night and got it by breakfast. No advertising, no representation, no entry. I changed the lock codes again and installed a second deadbolt. Then I did what has become my reflex. I turned the mess into a manual. I met with the county clerk about deed alerts. Now I get a ping if anyone tries to file anything with my parcel number. I set up a free title monitoring service. The cameras now watermark every video with date, time, and GPS. The porch light gained a discreet mic. I wrote the checklist up for the library bulletin board. 1. Title alerts. 2. Cloud cameras with off-site backup. 3. Trusted counsel on speed dial. 4. No verbal agreements. Ever. 5. All codes rotate, all logs export. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. The next angle came from the water company. A routine verification call confirming a service transfer to Trevor Hale. I asked the date. Effective Monday. I asked the address. Mine. I recorded the call, thanked the agent, then drove to the utility office with Harper. The clerk listened to the playback and went pale. We see this in landlord disputes, she said. Not usually with parents. She flagged my account. In person only. ID required. PIN on file. We repeated it with electric, internet, and insurance. By lunchtime, no one could touch my lines without me standing there with a driver's license and that PIN. Saturday morning, a florist delivered a vase to my porch with a note from Maya. Robotics Team 1, buying my own sneakers. Love you. I took the picture and sent it back with a thumbs up and a simple line. Proud of you. Keep receipts. By afternoon, Dana tried a different mask. She walked up alone, hands empty, voice sweet. Mom, we just wanted to help cover your taxes. It's not safe for you to juggle all this alone. The taxes are escrowed in the trust, I said. The mailbox is locked. The help you're offering costs me my name. She flicked her eyes toward the lens above the door and backed away. You're making this ugly. I'm keeping it legal, I said, and closed the door. Monday, Harper filed a civil action. Injunctive relief became a lawsuit for conversion, fraud, and violation of my right of publicity, using my images to market their fake rental. We attached the bookings, the messages, the banknotes, the couple in sun hats who signed witness affidavits without complaint once they got refunds from the platform's guarantee. The judge set a quick hearing. Dana didn't smile at this one. Trevor's jaw worked like he was chewing gravel. We didn't ask for money. We asked for teeth. Permanent injunction, statutory penalties, and required notification to law enforcement if either of them tried another property move involving me. The court granted most of it. The part about mandatory notice made Victor slam his folder shut harder than he needed to. I took the long way home along the seawall. Pelicans skimmed the water like they owned it. Back on the porch, I updated the manual and printed 10 copies for the library class. Ruth from 3 houses down brought lemonade and asked if I'd add a segment on spotting forged POAs. I wrote a page on that too. Bank verification phrases, red flag sentences, the exact wording that means someone wants control. That night, I moved a chair to face the ocean and slept an hour there just because I could. No watchfulness, no edge. When the moon slid out from the clouds, the water turned to hammered silver. The next week, the island paper ran a small column. Elder homeowner stops fake rental scheme. Court tightens ban. It wasn't my name that mattered. It was the message. Procedures win. Grief doesn't. At noon, my phone buzzed. A new porch clip. Trevor at the edge of the property line, reading the sign that said, "No trespass. Order on file." He turned around. Good. Let the sand and the law do the talking. I iced the tea, set the key back on its hook, and opened a fresh tab on my laptop. Workshop. Protecting your house and your name. Seats filled within an hour. The first slide was 3 words in 72-point font. Document, decide, defend. Part 3. 3. The notary arrived at 6:11 p.m. Uninvited, leather bag, stamp ready. Quitclaim deed for you to sign, Ms. Hayes, she said brightly. Your son scheduled it. My son didn't, I answered, motioning her to the porch table under the camera. Set everything down. We'll do this by the book. She unfolded the papers, my parcel number, my full name, and a deed that moved my house into Hale Family Holdings, LLC. Consideration, 10-2. Effective on signature. I put on my glasses and read line by line while texting 2 words to Deputy Collins. Notary here. Then I hit record on my phone as backup. Before we start, I said, state your full name and commission number for the record. She did. Hands steady. She wasn't the problem. The paper was. Who ordered you? A Mr. Trevor Hale, she said. He sent a power of attorney and requested mobile service. I scanned the POA. It used my old signature from a DMV form, copied cleanly, wrong angle. The witness addresses were a storage facility and a nail salon 70 miles inland. No signing today, I said. This POA is counterfeit. Her face shifted from professional to worried. Ma'am, I'm neutral. If you don't want to sign, I'll mark it refused. Colin's truck rolled to the curb. He stepped onto the porch, body cam blinking. Evening, he said. Mind I take a look? He photographed every page, then asked the notary to show her order thread. She handed over her phone. Text confirmations. A payment link to a card ending. Fallen 3-6. Trevor again. Collins called dispatch to log the attempted conveyance. Then he looked at me. You want to press charges? Let's start with preservation, I said. Then we go to charges. We did it methodically. The notary emailed her booking receipts to Harper Quinn. Collins bagged the forged POA copy and deed as evidence. I wrote a refusal statement in big block letters. I do not authorize this transfer. 10 minutes later, a sedan crept past the house. Trevor at the wheel, Dana beside him. They didn't stop. They only circled once and kept going when Collins stepped off the curb and lifted his phone. Harper arrived with a portable scanner and a tone that meant war. Same play as the rental, she said, flipping through the deed. Different angle. We answer with 3 things: emergency title freeze, criminal complaint, and civil quiet title with declaratory relief. We moved fast. Harper called. Nora Patel, at the title office. Nora flagged my parcel as attorney hold, manual review. Any filing would ping her desk before it touched the index. Collins took our statements and forwarded the report to the DA's fraud unit. Attempted real estate conveyance via forged instrument, elder exploitation, identity theft. I logged into the county recorder portal and set deed alerts. For my name variations, just in case they tried Marjorie A. Hayes instead of Marjorie Ann Hayes. At 8:02 p.m., Trevor texted from an unknown number. Just sign and we'll stop bothering you. Harper screenshotted it, then replied from her line. All communications through counsel. Further contact will be used in court. Next morning, Nora called. Heads up. Someone uploaded a deed package at 2:13 a.m. Same document you refused, but with a remote notarization sticker. Not possible, the porch notary said, when Harper looped her on speaker. I never stamped it. Someone copied my seal. She sounded scared. Harper steadied her. You're a victim, too. We'll help you file your report. Nora kicked the package back and attached Collins's incident number. The recorder marked it. Rejected. Suspect fraud. In bold red, and the system fired my phone an alert exactly as it was built to do. By noon, we were in the DA's office, a conference room that smelled like coffee and copier toner. The investigator, Hargent Lynn, spread our exhibits: the knockoff POA, the late-night upload, the notary's texts, Trevor's card, Dana's loop around the block. Here's how this goes, Lynn said. We subpoena the platform for IPs, the bank for the card owner, and the remote notary vendor for their log. If that seal was cloned, we add forgery of a public officer's stamp. If your kids are behind it, this moves from ugly to felony. I don't need them jailed, I said. I need them stopped. Stopping people sometimes looks like cuffs, Lynn said simply. We signed what needed signing. Harper filed the quiet title action and attached a proposed order that preemptively voided any deed or lien filed without my notarized personal appearance. The judge granted it ex parte in 48 hours. Nora taped it inside her desk and smiled for the first time all week. Dana tried charm again, this time with a care meeting. She arrived with muffins and a church friend, Lydia, who spoke in soft, soothing tones. "We're only here because we love you." "Then love me by obeying the court," I said, pointing to the injunction posted beside the door. "Mom, it's just paperwork," Dana said. "You've always hated forms." I brought out a thin folder. "This one I like." Inside, Dr. Chen's capacity letter, Dr. Rivers's report, the court's order, and the DA's case number. Lydia read, closed the folder, and squeezed Dana's elbow toward the steps. That evening, Collins texted, "Search warrants approved." Next morning, Lynn texted Harper, "IP hit matches Trevor's condo. Vendor log shows seal file uploaded from his Wi-Fi at 2:07 a.m. 2 days later, officers knocked on Trevor's door. He answered in gym shorts, mug of protein shake in hand. They walked out with his laptop in a gray evidence bag and a folded printer that still smelled of hot plastic film. Dana called me from a blocked number and said nothing. I let the silence stand. We finished the week the way we've learned to finish everything, with a checklist and a room full of witnesses. I ran my library class. House, name, signature, how to fortify all three. We covered deed alerts, trusted contacts, notarization pitfalls, the phrase, "I do not authorize this transfer," and how to read the 2 lines on a form that hand your life to the wrong person. After class, a man with paint on his hands waited by the door. "My mother's 82, he said. "My sister keeps bringing forms." I handed him the packet. "Teach her the word refuse. Put a deputy and a lawyer between her and the pen." At sunset, I walked the beach. The tide dragged thin lines in the sand like signatures being erased. Back home, I hung the key on its hook and slid the forged deed into a clear sleeve marked Lesson. Procedure wins. Again. Part 4. The welfare check came at 7:03 a.m. 2 APS investigators on my porch with clipboards and a practiced smile. "Ms. Hayes, we received a report you're confused, not eating, unsafe alone." "I'm making oatmeal and balancing my checkbook," I said, stepping aside so their body cams caught the stove, the ledger, the morning headlines. "Come in. We'll do this properly." They read the complaint. Anonymous, citing erratic purchases, paranoia, and hostility toward family. I laid out my folder like silverware. Dr. Chen's capacity exam, Dr. Rivers's mental health letter, the court's order denying guardianship, the DA case number on the deed forgery, 3 months of grocery and pharmacy receipts. Investigator Ruiz's pen slowed. "Do you know who filed this?" "I have a guess," I said, flipping to a screenshot. Dana's text to a church thread. "APS will make her listen." Ruiz's eyebrow ticked up. "You'd be surprised how often people weaponize us." They closed the file, looked around my tidy kitchen, and signed their forms. "Case closed on scene," Ruiz said, tapping her badge. "If anyone reports again within 90 days without new facts, it's harassment. We'll note it." By lunch, the next hit landed. My bank app pinged. Attempted account freeze. Requesting party authorized relative. I walked into First Seaside with a tote bag of documents and asked for the fraud officer. A young man named Ethan Core met me in a glass cube. "Your son called the 800 number," he said. Claimed you were incapacitated. Faxed an old durable POA. Old and revoked, I said, sliding a one-page revocation with last month's date and a certified mail receipt to Dana and Trevor. Ethan read, nodded, and flipped his monitor toward me. We can put you on a high-sensitivity profile. No changes without in-person appearance, passphrase, and video verification. Want debit alerts at $1 and above? Make it 50 cents, I said, and add my attorney as a view-only contact. He grinned. I like you. At 2:40, the Homeowners Association tried a flank. Violation notice. Unauthorized exterior cameras, unsightly sand buckets on porch, commercial activity, due to my Saturday workshop. I took the lift to the clubhouse at 3 Lauk sharp with a binder labeled Bylaws and a pocket copy of the state's Right to Record statute. The board president, a man who wore sunglasses indoors, cleared his throat. We've had complaints. From whom? I asked. Residents. Names? He hedged. I opened the bylaws to Article 7, Section 4. Exterior security devices permitted, not to exceed 2 per elevation. I have 4. I'll remove 1 on the west wall. Page turn. Temporary beach equipment allowed on porches for 48 hours. Mine rotated every evening. Timestamps attached. Page turn. Educational gatherings under 12 attendees do not constitute commercial use. Headcount sheet signed by your property manager. Silence. The treasurer looked like he wanted to applaud. Sunglasses cleared his throat again. Consider this. Resolved. Pending your West camera adjustment. Already down, I said. And for transparency, I slid across a letter. Any future anonymous complaints about me must be written and signed to be considered. Sunshine's healthy. At dusk, Trevor switched tactics. He called Maya from a new number and told her grandma was sick and needed help finding her checkbook. She texted me a minute later. Are you okay? Dad wants to pick up your papers. I voice called immediately. I'm fine, honey. If Dad asks you to do errands about my money, you tell him Grandma has helpers in uniforms and suits. She giggled. Like Deputy Collins and Ms. Quinn. Exactly. And your job is school and robotics, not banking. 10 minutes after we hung up, my doorbell rang. Pastor Lydia. Stood there with Dana, carrying a casserole like a peace flag. We're here to reconcile, Lydia began. Then respect my boundary, I said, nodding at the no trespass, court order on file placard. We can meet at the sheriff's substation or Ms. Quinn's office, not here. Dana tried a tear that never reached her eyes. Mom, everyone thinks you're cruel. I pointed at the ocean. The tide doesn't negotiate with the moon about its job. Neither do I. They left with their cold casserole. I texted, Harper saw a photo of the visit and got back one word, documented. The next morning, the county recorder's alert buzzed again. This time, a lien filed for a bogus in-home care contract. Amount, $28,400. Creditor, Harbor Elder Services, LLC. A storefront registered last week by a paralegal who, 5 clicks later, linked to Victor Hale's cousin. Harper moved like thunder. We filed an emergency motion to expunge the lien and asked for sanctions. Nora Patel. Certified there was no service contract, no invoices, no caregiver visits. Just paper. St. Lynn traced the LLC registration to a P.O. box shared with a document prep shop that had printed Trevor's fake stamp. The judge held a same-day hearing, listened to 3 minutes of argument, and signed an order with a line I'll frame. This court will not be used as a tool in a family grift. Sanctions. $7,500. Payable to me. Due in 30 days. Failure. Bench warrant for contempt. That night, I hosted Session 2 cure of my class. Paper shields. How to pre-defeat a scheme. We built packets, capacity letters, POA revocations, recorder alerts, bank pass phrases, APS contact cards, and a script for answering doorbells that begins with, "State your full name for the camera." An ex-stevedore raised his hand. "What if they smear you in church?" I smiled. "Then you let your documents preach. Shame uses whispers. Boundaries use ink." After everyone left, I brewed tea and walked the sand at low tide. The lighthouse threw its slow eye across the water, steady and unimpressed by storms. Back home, I logged the day. APS closed, bank fortified, HOA contained, lien crushed, sanctions awarded, granddaughter safeguarded. My phone buzzed once more. Unknown number. A text. "You win for now. This isn't over." No signature, but I knew the cadence. I typed nothing. I screenshotted. I slid the image into a folder named Future Exhibits and turned off the light. Process isn't loud, and it isn't pretty. It's checklists, timestamps, and doors that stay locked until you decide otherwise. Let them improvise. I've got a playbook. Part 5. At 6:11 a.m., the smoke alarm shrieked and my front door rattled. 2 men in neon vests waved a clipboard. "Emergency gas inspection. Immediate entry." "Company name for the camera," I said. They hesitated. Vestmar 1 mumbled, "Harbor Home Services." "Not on the county vendor list," I replied, dialing. "Dispatch, this is Marjorie Hayes. Possible forced entry scam tied to a pending family case." The cruiser rolled up in 3 minutes. Deputy Collins stepped out, hand on belt, the vests scattered. He caught one at the curb. Fake work order. Burner phone. I signed a statement and watched the dawn burn pink over the breakwater. By noon, the smear started. A Facebook post from a church mom. "Pray for Ms. Hayes. Alone, confused, spending wildly. Family heartbroken." It had Dana's punctuation all over it. I sent the post to Harper Quinn with one line. "Defamation hold?" "Better," Harper texted back. "Anti-slap." At 2:30, Maya called from a school bathroom. "Grandma, can I send you something? I don't want Dad to be mad at me." "You can send me anything, kiddo." A minute later, a voice memo landed. Trevor's voice in the car, low and certain. "We just need incompetency on paper. Once the judge signs, the house is ours. Don't talk to Maya about it. She'll run to the old woman." In the background, Dana. "Victor says, push APS again. Use self-neglect." I forwarded the file to Harper, then to Chaim. "Grant Lynn." Lynn's reply, "Chain of custody received. Save original." Harper's reply, "This is the ball game." We moved fast. Harper filed an anti-slap suit against Dana's friend and the Pray for post, attached the audio under seal, and noticed a motion for preliminary injunction. No more public statements about my capacity. No more faux welfare alerts. No contact outside counsel. She also filed a contempt affidavit. Sanctions unpaid. Lien sanction ignored. At 4:05, the recorder pinged again. Someone had attempted a quitclaim from Marjorie H. by agent to Family Protective Trust. The agent's signature was a photocopy of my old handwriting. Nora Patel. Left her desk mid-escrow and swore an affidavit. "I witnessed Ms. Hayes refuse any transfer. This is fabricated." The clerk flagged the document. "Suspect. Do not index. Paper ambush. Disarmed before it left the trench." That evening, I hosted Session 3. Locks, lies, and lawsuits. We practiced scripts. "Who are you?" I asked a retired nurse playing the role of Dana. I'm your daughter, she said, channeling an entitled pout. State your full name, reason, and authority, I replied, pointing to the camera. You may deliver documents to my attorney. Good night. Laughter broke the tension. We finished with a checklist card. 9 words that save your life. Put that in writing and send it to counsel. Next day, the courtroom was packed. On one side, Dana in a pastel suit, Trevor with a jaw clenched hard enough to crack ice. Victor Hale, flipping through a folder thin as a pamphlet. On ours, Harper, calm as a metronome, Dr. Chen, Dr. Rivers, Deputy Collins, Nora, and 3 neighbors ready to testify how many Sundays my door stayed untouched. The judge took the bench. 2 matters: contempt on unpaid sanctions and defendant's anti-slap motion. Victor stood. Your Honor, the social post was a call for prayer, protected speech. Harper didn't bother to stand at the lectern. She floated. Your Honor, it's a false statement of fact. Capacity, self-neglect, tied to a campaign to seize property. We have audio of the plan. She pressed play. The courtroom turned to ice. Trevor's voice filled it. Dana's whisper threaded through. You could feel the judge's temperature drop 10 degrees. Contempt first, the judge said. Sanctions unpaid. Why? Victor tried. My clients are under financial strain. Sheriff, the judge said, prepare a wage garnishment order. 25% of Mr. Hayes's wages and any tax refunds. If not satisfied in 60 days, bench warrant. Trevor's bravado finally cracked. He glanced at Dana. She looked at the floor. Now anti-slap, the judge continued. The post is not opinion. It asserts falsity. Confused? Unsafe? The record rebuts it. Motion granted. Fees to Ms. Hayes. Injunction. Petitioners and their agents are barred from initiating welfare checks, vendor entries, or recording changes regarding Ms. Hayes' absent exigency or court order. Any violation, arrest. Victor sputtered something about family rights. The judge raised a palm. Your clients have confused family with possession. Court is not an instrument for either. We walked out into a hallway that smelled like lemon cleaner and defeat. Dana followed, voice low. Mom, if you drop this, we can talk. I don't drop truth, I said. You can schedule a meeting at the sheriff's substation. Bring your checkbook. That afternoon, Pastor Lydia came alone. No casserole, no script. She stood at the edge of my porch, hands folded. I owe you an apology. I was used. You weren't the first, I said, but you might be the first to say it out loud. She nodded. May I host a workshop? For our older members? We have too many prayer posts and not enough paperwork. Next Thursday, I said. We'll call it Blessed Are the Boundaries. At sunset, I met Maya. By the public pier, where the gulls heckle the fishermen and nobody pays attention to grandmothers hugging granddaughters. She handed me a folded napkin with a sketch of a robot that sorts seashells by size. Dad's mad, she whispered, but I'm okay. You're more than okay, I said. You're brave. Remember our rule? She grinned. Ask for receipts. And keep copies, I added. We watched the lighthouse blink, on, off, on, like a heartbeat that refuses to rush for anyone. My phone buzzed with a bank alert. First garnishment collected, 3/12/40. I filed it in. Collections. And smiled small. Night fell. Somewhere across town, Dana was drafting another story. Let her. I have documents, neighbors, deputies, a judge who reads, and a granddaughter who records. They swing in shadows. I work in light. Tomorrow, I'll teach session 4, When They Weaponize Love. We'll practice the hardest line in the world and the one that saves you. No. Part 6. At 7:02 a.m., a yellow tag fluttered on my gate. Code enforcement. Anonymous complaint. Unsafe deck. Possible illegal rental. I called the number on the slip, invited the inspector for 10 cars, and laid out my folder. Permit, contractor license, past inspection, paid fee. At 10:12 he walked the joists, measured spans, snapped a photo, and laughed. Whoever reported this doesn't know lumber. You're clean, Ms. Hayes. I asked for a letter on letterhead. He emailed it before his truck reached the stop sign. At 11:31 my phone pinged. Experian alert. Someone tried opening a furniture line in my name. I opened my ICE sheet, identity containment emergency, froze credit with all 3 bureaus, locked my SSA, placed a USPS informed delivery watch, switched my mailbox to a locking unit, and filed a police report. I forwarded everything to Harper Quinn, with the subject, Paper Fire, contained. By noon, 2 women in state windbreakers approached the porch. Adult Protective Services. We received concerns, self-neglect, confusion. Their tone was careful, trained. Ladies, I said, pointing to the camera light, you're recorded. There's an injunction barring weaponized welfare checks by my children or their agents. They glanced at each other. I handed over copies. Dr. Chen's Kao cognitive report, Dr. Rivers. Psych letter, the judge's order. They read fast. I'm sorry, the taller one said. This happens more than it should. We'll mark your file. Malicious referral, no further action, absent exigent proof. She tore up a checklist on her clipboard and left the pieces in my trash at my request. Simple, documented. At 3:40, Maya texted a photo, a manila envelope peeking from Trevor's desk. The label read, POA, Emergency Draft. Inside, a forged, durable power of attorney, with my name slanting like a ransom note. She didn't touch it. She photographed each page, then slid the envelope back exactly as she found it. Good work, I replied. You're a scientist now. Observe, record, don't disturb. Harper filed a preemptive notice with the county clerk. Any POA purporting to name petitioners as agents is fraudulent. The clerk added a pot fraud alert to my property index, red flag on any filing involving my name. We were closing doors faster than they could find keys. That night, 11:18 p.m., a paramedic knocked. Wellness check, he said, glancing past me. Caller reported an elderly woman yelling. The elderly woman is reading a cookbook, I said, holding up Joy of Cooking. Like a badge. And there's an injunction. Who's the caller? He checked his screen. Restricted number. Record this, I told the camera. No exigency, no entry. He nodded, apologized, and walked back to his rig, shoulders tired from other people's panic. Morning brought escalation. Victor Hale filed an ex parte petition in the neighboring county for temporary guardianship. New venue, same playbook. Harper woke the judge's clerk at 8:05 with a motion to transfer for improper venue and a bundle. APS closure, code letter, the recorded wellness check, the audio of Trevor, the injunction. By 9:40, the neighboring judge scrawled, denied across Victor's application and ordered him to explain why he shouldn't be sanctioned for forum shopping. The copy landed in Victor's inbox and mine at the same minute. I allowed myself exactly 1 cranberry scone worth of satisfaction. At 2 p.m., I rolled out. PorchNet, a neighborhood chain of 3 doorbells and 2 retired teachers. We swapped numbers, created a text group, and set a code. Bluebird means call deputy. Gull means wanderers selling fake services. Marlin means I need a ride to court or clinic. We printed porch cards, laminated scripts with the 9 words we drilled, put that in writing and send it to council. That evening, Pastor Lydia hosted our workshop in the parish hall. Blessed are the boundaries. I brought a slide deck and a folding lock sample. We covered fraud alerts, camera placement, how to ask for names and badges, how to end a conversation. People took notes like their pensions depended on it. Maybe they did. Saturday at 9:03 a.m., a box truck took my curb space. Stenciled on the side, family assistance and transition. 2 men jumped down with plastic bins, a dolly, and an inventory form. Trevor stepped out of a sedan behind them, jaw tight, eyes on the prize. Morning, one mover said. We're here to help Ms. Hayes relocate. Family request. For the camera, I said. State the work order, who hired you, and your license number. The mover squinted at his paper. Client, Dana Hayes. Job, pack and transport. License, you don't have one, I said. And there's a court order. Trevor slid his hands into his pockets. Mom, let's not do this on the street. We do this exactly here, I said, dialing. Injunction violation. Attempted removal of property. Deputy Collins. Arrived with the same quiet he carried into my living room the month prior. He read the order aloud, looked at the movers, and asked one question. Do you want this job to cost you your truck? They loaded their dolly back on board. Trevor tried a smile that remembered how to be charming. We were just trying to take possession, Collins finished. He wrote Trevor a citation right on the hood. You step on this porch again without a court date or counsel present. You're spending the night at county. Dana didn't get out of the car. She watched through her windshield, phone in her lap, recording her own defeat. When the truck pulled away, she followed at a steady, bitter speed. By noon, my inbox chimed. Clerk, notice of lien. Satisfied. Partial. First garnishment processed. I filed it under /collections. Next to the anti-slap fee order. Paper, paper, paper. The only music grifters can't dance to. We use the calm to lock more doors. Harper filed a Kyle-fee civil conspiracy ex-signs claim and a Ma permanent restraining order. Petition, attaching a table of exhibits that would make a librarian clap. Nora Patel added an affidavit about the fake quitclaim attempt. Sergeant Lind appended the APS memo labeling the referral malicious. Dr. Chenutz updated my exam. Still sharp. Dr. Rivers added a one-liner judge's love. Boundaries are protective, not punitive. At dusk, I stood by the seawall and watched a shrimp boat crawl home, deck lights gold in the blue. A gull scolded the wind. Maya texted a photo of her robot, now with a belt that sorts shells by color. Grant application submitted, she wrote. Winner gets $250. Win or lose, I replied. You already learned the part adults forget. Document, budget, build. Night slid in. I switched the porch lamp to its softest setting and checked my backups. Cameras syncing. Cloud archive mirrored to the encrypted drive. Injunction laminated on the fridge. Spare copy in the mailbox safe. PorchNet pinged a Gullen door-to-door roof inspectors. 2 houses over, the teachers closed their doors and waved at the lens. Dana and Trevor were still out there, drafting new angles, finding new pretexts, practicing new lines. Let them. I don't improvise anymore. I run a protocol. When people ask how I keep winning, I don't preach. I show my stack. Letters, orders, affidavits, timestamps. You don't argue with paper, you stack it higher. Tomorrow I'll teach. Session 5. When they change counties. First slide. The venue statute in 24-point type. Last slide. A simple word we rehearse until it feels like air. No. Part 7. The subpoena landed on Victor's desk at 8:01 a.m. Deposition, forgery, and conspiracy. Date, time, place. My island library's conference room. We booked it for 4 hours and set a pitcher of water nobody touched. Harper started clean. Mr. Hale, who drafted the emergency POA found in Trevor Hayes's office? Victor adjusted his tie. I don't know what you're referring to. Exhibit A, Harper said, sliding the printouts Maya had photographed. Note the letterhead mismatch and the notary stamp copied from a 2019 mortgage release. We've confirmed the notary retired in 2020. He asked for a recess. Denied. Next came Trevor. He tried swagger. It frayed fast. Did you instruct family assistants in transition to enter my home? I asked. We were helping you relocate. Who signed the work order? Harper pressed. Silence. She presented the contract. Dana's signature, payment attached, memo line. Clear out beach house. Urgent. By noon, Victor requested global resolution. Harper slid our terms across the table like a bill at a diner. 1. Permanent stay-away order. 500 feet. All platforms. No proxies. 2. Written retraction. Filed with the court acknowledging false statements regarding my competence. 3. Repayment of my fees and sanctions via wage garnishment already underway. Any default triggers immediate lying on Trevor's boat and Dana's SUV. 4. No contact carve-out. One-way mail from Maya, sealed, unopened by parents. 5. Diversion plea. For Trevor on attempted unlawful entry. Community service. At the Senior Center Tech Desk, teaching password managers and two-factor. 6. Bar complaint. For Victor withdrawn if he self-reports and completes ethics remediation. Second incident. No mercy. Victor read it twice. It's severe. It's precise, Harper said. You don't want precise? We can do criminal. Dana stared at the table. Trevor rolled the pen between his fingers until it clicked apart. They signed. The judge stamped it that afternoon. Deputy Collins served copies like menus. 1 to each door, 1 to each inbox, 1 to the county bulletin where boring things live forever. I used the quiet to finish the build. The island library let me host Clinic, Paper and Peace. Every second Thursday, we replaced fear with forms. Freeze credit, lock SSA, USPS hold, title alert, camera angles, venue traps. I watched women straighten their backs as the acronyms stacked under their names like armor. At home, I tightened the screws on the last loose board. PorchNet. Added 2 new houses and a retired journalist who loves public records like other men love boats. He taught us a trick. Set. Google Alerts. On your deed book and case number, noise becomes signal. Maya's robot won second place in a $250 grant. She mailed the check copy, a budget spreadsheet, and a thank you card written in block letters that didn't hide. I'm saving for a laptop, she wrote. Used is fine if specs are good. Specs first, brand later, I texted back, attaching a sheet. CPU, RAM, SSD, battery cycles, prices circled. She circled back with a better deal. Weeks turned to a season. I thought the story had ended. It hadn't. It shifted. A certified letter arrived from Victor. Different tone, no perfume of threat. He was withdrawing from representation. Irreconcilable differences, he wrote. lawyer for hire going back to traffic tickets. Then Dana filed one motion alone. Request for supervised apology and item return. Unusual title, thin paper. The judge set 10 minutes. We met in a small courtroom with a clock that ticked too loud. Dana stood with a bag of my things. A stained index card box, a chipped mug, 3 buttons from my first plant opening in '84. Things I never asked for because I didn't need them to remember who I am. I thought you might want these, she said, voice flat, court-mandated polite. I wanted honesty more, I replied. She nodded once, as if punching a time card, and left with her hands empty and the order satisfied. A bureaucratic apology. It would do. Harper and I redirected the last heat into light. We finished my trust addendum. House to Coastal Women's Aid. Not cyan. A marketing phrase, but a deed. Scholarship for Maya. Available at 25 unless a court emancipates her sooner. The trigger is one line. Demonstrated independent housing and income unrelated to her parents. No loopholes to crawl through. On the anniversary of the first knock at my door, the island paper ran a small item above the tide chart. Workshop, when family becomes a paper cut. Photo of me at a folding table, holding up a laminated "No" like a flag. After class, a man in a postal cap hovered near the coffee urn. Ms. Hayes, my mother's got a nephew sniffing around, says he can expedite her benefits for a fee. Bring her here, I said. We'll turn his expedite into our evidence. That night the wind carried shrimp and diesel. I scanned my dashboard. Backups mirrored, liens collected, alerts quiet, orders current. No drama, just systems humming like a well-tuned sewing line. Maya pinged me a new photo. She'd mounted the robot sorter on a little cart. Rev 3. Stenciled on the side, black Sharpie, proud and tidy. What's next? I asked. Version 4 with color sensor and belt guard, she wrote. Then a demo for a microgrant. They ask for deliverables and metrics. I smiled at the screen. Deliverables. One sorter that works every time. Metrics. Shells per minute. Error rate under 5%. Budget under cap. Receipts attached. Got it, she replied. Also, I filed my FAFSA without Mom seeing. Library lady helped. Smart, I typed. Build your paper tower before you need to climb it. Just before bed, PorchNet lit a Bluebird 2 streets over, new scam flyer, fake roofers again. The teacher snapped it, posted it, shredded it. We added the logo to our wall of Nope. Dana and Trevor haven't turned into saints. People don't change on a judge's signature. But paper shapes behavior the way a seawall shapes a tide. Redirected, slowed, forced to mind the line. If you're looking for the moral, it's not sentimental. It's procedural. When love goes missing, build protocol. When talk gets slippery, stack paper. When they switch tactics, switch venues with them, armed with timestamps and our orders. Name the thing, label the folder, set the alert, lock the gate, teach the neighbor, fund the next woman's firewall. The ocean keeps its rhythm. So do I. Tomorrow's clinic covers apologies with teeth, terms that matter. First slide. Distance, documentation, dollars. Last slide. A single sentence I wish someone had handed me years ago. You don't need permission to keep what's yours. Part 8. Final. The hurricane drills began in June. PorchNet split the island into zones, laminated checklists, and ran a full-stack test. Radios, shutters, fuel, Backups. I spent the morning labeling totes, deeds, trust, medical file, then closed the binder with a click that sounded like closure. At noon, the library filled. Verschwunden. Paper and Peace. Last session. I taught the fast track. Freeze credit, title alerts, SSA locks, health POA, HIPAA release, no contact templates with sheriff routing. We ended with a live exercise. Each woman called her bank, revoked an extra card, and set a verbal password. The sound of agents reciting confirmed felt like a choir. Trevor arrived 30 minutes early for his community service shift. He wheeled in a crate of ancient laptops, plugged them to a power strip, and addressed the class without looking at me. "We're installing password managers today," he said, voice steady. Two-factor too. A senior lifted her hand. "What if someone keeps guessing?" Trevor held up a simple card. "Lockout policy. Clear steps." For once, he taught the boundary, not how to bypass it. During the break, Deputy Collins leaned on the counter. "Your orders being respected?" "They are," I said. "Keep copies in the go bag," he replied, tapping the binder. "Storm or not." By August, the court's garnishment had finished chewing through their fines. Receipts printed, liens released, noise lowered. Victor filed his ethics completion letter and retreated to writing wills for fishermen. Not redemption, just an exit that didn't harm anyone. Maya turned 17 and mailed a photo. Her robot mounted on an aluminum rail, sensors blinking like a tiny lighthouse. A sticky note covered half the image. Rev 4.0, under budget. She asked about colleges. I sent 2 lists: schools with honest aid, programs that teach you to build before you brand. Then I mailed my own envelope, a used but clean laptop I scored from a lab surplus, SSD swapped, battery tested, refurb log stapled to the lid. Dana came to the library one evening. She didn't sign in or sit. She hovered by the bulletin board as if it might speak first. No perfume, no handbag. She studied the flyer for clinic number 12, then the small photo the paper had run of me holding a laminated "no." Her mouth moved around a sentence. None came out. She left a bakery box on the table and walked to her car without turning back. I opened the box after the room emptied. 4 rolls, dark on top. Not pretty, but honest. I set 2 on a plate for the teacher's lounge and put the other 2 in my freezer, because peace, like bread, can be saved for leaner days without pretending it's something it isn't. The storm that finally arrived wasn't a hurricane. It was the other kind. Paperwork. A realtor from the mainland cold-called half the island with cash now offers. Porchnet caught it, recorded the pitch, traced the Shell LLC, and forwarded the tape to the AG. The next week, we hosted Scam Anatomy. 10 minutes of audio, 10 of law, then scissors. We cut the flyer into strips and turned it into bookmarks. Everybody left with one. A month later, I recorded a deed addendum at the county window. Life estate retained. Remainder to Coastal Women's Aid. Not a brochure phrase, a book and page. Backup trustee named, successor named after that. I walked out lighter. If anyone challenged my future, they'd have to start in the past tense. Harper and I celebrated with cheap coffee at the bait shop. "Clinic's grown up," she said. "We can hand it off." "To whom?" She pointed with her chin. The retired journalist had brought a box labeled Forms 1.0 Go. The librarian held a stapler like a gavel. A postal worker arranged folders by color code. Systems were teaching people now. We had turned defense into muscle memory. On the first cool morning of fall, I tested the shutters, ran a backup, and walked the beach. The surf threw a line of scallop shells at my feet like small trophies. My phone buzzed. Maya. Got early decision interview, she texted, using the sorter as my project. They ask about impact. Say this, I wrote back. You built a machine that counts honestly. That doesn't skip steps when the line gets long. Impact is a cleaner table, fewer mistakes, and no one stealing what you counted. Stolen line, she teased. Use it anyway, I answered. When I got home, a single envelope waited in the mailbox. No return address, neat block letters. Inside, a slip of paper with a single sentence. I am choosing to be better with my own money first. D. No apology, no plea, no angle. A workable sentence. I filed it under SA. Correspondence, not obligations. And went on with my day. That night, the power blinked. The generator hummed once and held. The cameras stayed online. The cloud mirrored in real time. I heated soup, checked an OAA, and texted the block captain our head count. All green, she replied. I picked up a roll from the freezer, warmed it low and slow, then ate it on the steps with my feet on the cool wood, listening to a storm that, for once, belonged to the weather and not to me. If you're waiting for something dramatic, there isn't any. The ending is simple. The house stands. The papers hold. The ocean keeps time. Dana and Trevor live outside my fences. Maya builds things that sort truth from noise. The clinic runs without my hands on every lever. The trust sits in its box, sharp as a new needle. People ask what changed me. Nothing mystical. I traded pleas for procedures. I put locks on doors and names on lines. I let systems carry the weight so my heart didn't have to. Love, when it shows up, arrives through actions that clear a balance, wash a cup, bring a roll that's a little burnt but paid for by the baker. Tomorrow I'll teach my last class. Exit plans. How to leave the room. You built. And then I'll hand over the key ring with a smile. I'll keep one key for myself, the one with salt dried around the edges. I'll hook it on its nail by the door, where my hand can find it blind. I am not anyone's resource anymore. I am a person with a porch and a protocol. When tides rise, I lift the shutters. When paper rattles, I check the stamp. When memory aches, I walk to the jetty and watch the channel markers blink in their patient sequence. Red-green, safe water ahead. That's the whole of it. You don't need permission to keep what's yours. And if you ever forget, the ocean will remind you. Steady, exact, no explanations. Just the next good wave and a line you choose not to cross.